reason may be hometown aspect for rooting for the Buckeyes. Man, this is a story and a team, especially, I think, now boosted with the prominence of this victory here, that I can see the nation really starting to get behind. But it's the kind that you can. It's a good story, not just, as you said, the oasis in the desert of our sports nightmare that we wake up in every day, but just a refreshing story, as I said, when you look at the path that they took to get there. And truly coming, you can say it's the spoils of the riches to have three quarterbacks that good, and I would be hard-pressed to argue with you there, but still, when you look at the circumstances along the way and the fact that they came through, and then for them to kind of qualify it all with that victory over Alabama to silence people. Not that Oregon has done anything villainous or any reason that people wouldn't get behind them, but maybe the Nike specter makes them a little bit corporate there. But I could just see the Buckeyes being a sentimental underdog nationally coming into this championship game.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think a lot of people will be on the Oregon bandwagon. And frankly, I told you last week that I thought the winner of Ohio State-Alabama would win the national title. But I tell you the truth, after watching just the first half of the Florida State-Oregon game yesterday, I said to myself, man, both these teams are really good.
Yes.
And I am by no means as sure as I was before after watching that Oregon performance. One of the guys last night said they looked like they played that game in second or third gear. They didn't even turn on all the jets last night because they were cruising. To me, the thing that the games show, both games really, is parity in college sports. Is that this idea that the SEC West, and I said it all year too, that the best football in the country is being played in the SEC West, and I honestly don't think I believe that anymore after watching what happened yesterday. I mean, a team that we beat by 2 touchdowns, beats Auburn, and a team that we beat 59-0. I'm sorry, beats Auburn, a team that we beat by 2 touchdowns. Michigan State beats Baylor. So Baylor and Alabama and Auburn all go down. These are top 10 teams, either in some cases top 5 and top 1 teams go down to Big Ten teams. And the vaunted SEC West, they went 2-5 in the bowl games, and those 2 wins were by their 2 lowest teams, Arkansas and Texas A&M. The top 5 teams in the SEC West went 0-5, and a couple of them fell to Big Ten teams that they were favored over. In fact, I think all 5 of those games, the SEC West teams were the favorites. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, LSU certainly favored over Notre Dame. Auburn and Alabama certainly favored. So I hope, the hope is that this will maybe humble the SEC people. I'm skeptical, but I would hope that they would be, shutting up right about now after their division went 0-5 with a couple of wins. Arkansas beat Texas, and Texas A&M edged West Virginia. Not exactly signature victories for them. So I would hope that they would be humbled by that, and certainly the Big Ten has to be bucked up. I saw Pat Forty before the bowls suggested that the Big Ten was going to go 0-10 in their 10 bowl games. There's Pat Forty's credibility for you. Big Ten is now 5-4 with 1 game to go. So, really a great showing, and Big Ten fans have to be. And Meyer said it last night too, that he felt that maybe the Big Ten isn't all that damn bad. Is what he said.
Well, look at he's got a point. I don't know if you felt like I did. I mentioned it earlier that it was before this game even got rolling, man, when you watched those other games. And, I mean, of course, you got the exciting comeback with Michigan State. But, I mean, Wisconsin, the fact that practically 60 points for all intents and purposes. I mean, we slapped them around on a big stage with the number 3 quarterback, and then Auburn, giving you that Auburn is not, at their peak, but that's still, as you said, an SEC team. That's still a team that, a lot of people thought were going to take care of business there pretty handily. And when I saw those games there, I'm like, I'm telling you, man, Ohio State is going to wake some people up. I didn't know how the game was going to go. But I said, man, and of course all the jokes now to me should be flipped around. Hey, the SEC, do you guys got Ohio State speed? I'm just curious. We've been joking about that, but when you saw Zeke pull away from him at the end of the game, that was the instant joke that popped in my head right there. Was, wait a minute, who's questioning whose speed now? Because there was Alabama left in the dust. But when I saw, especially Wisconsin and Auburn earlier in the day, I said, man, the Buckeyes, they're going to surprise some people tonight. But I think they really – I wanted to go back and ask you your thoughts. I thought the turning point, at least confidence-wise, that said, man, these Buckeyes are not behind in this game. They may be behind on the scoreboard, but they're going to pull this thing up in the second half, was the way they ended the first half. When people are maybe questioning the play calling and, hey, why are they doing this, and scratching their head, boom, here comes some trickeration for the touchdown, and they really carried that momentum right into the second half.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that touchdown pass to Thomas at the end of the half, to pull the Buckeyes within a point after how badly they had played, all the, shooting themselves in the foot with penalties and the 2 turnovers that really accounted for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
To have them be within a point at halftime, I think their confidence just had to be soaring at that point, especially knowing they were going to get the ball coming back out. I'll tell you, I was pretty down at the mouth there with the Buckeyes down 21-6. They've got the ball on their own 5-yard line, backed up again. And Cardale comes through with a 3rd down completion. They get a 1st down. They move the ball out, and then they ended up, I believe, on that possession, not having to give the ball up again, but they got it out toward midfield first, flipped the field position, and then scored the 2 touchdowns toward the end of the half, and had outgained Alabama 348 yards in the half to 100 and something for the Tide.
Huge.
And so even though they were down a point, they had shown, I should say, that they could move the ball on this Bama team. They ended up putting up 537 yards total, Jerry, and averaged against the vaunted, Alabama defense 6.9 yards per play for the entire game.
I know.
Almost 7 yards every time they snapped the ball, and we knew, you and I talked about it, we knew the Buckeyes offense wasn't going to be stopped totally. I thought they might score as many as 30 points, and we're just kind of hoping they could limit Alabama to less than that. But I thought really that Tim Tebow made one of the most telling comments after the game, talking on the post game. He said that Alabama, this is a team and a program that week in, week out, year in, year out, when they show up for a game and they take the field, they've got the bigger, stronger, faster, better football players on their team. And as Tebow pointed out, he said tonight that was not the case. They were not bigger, faster, stronger, better than the Ohio State athletes, athlete for athlete, up and down the roster. And that is what I think the SEC people didn't believe coming in. They did not believe that the talent on Ohio State's team was the match for the Alabama talent, player for player. And I think we proved that it is. And as Meyer said after the game, the future is bright. He's been recruiting his butt off, and he's sandbagging talent that's every bit as good as what's there on the field last night. He's got freshmen redshirting that are just unbelievable talents, and a whole new class coming in next year. So it's it has flipped. Where I'm not saying that Meyer's team is going to dominate, but I tell you the truth, it would surprise me greatly if he's not back in this Final Four next year.
Brother, we've talked about it all season, how he's said all along that next year is where this team is really going to start to, peak and show what it can truly do. And that he's been, not to look past this year, but that's what he's been telling people is you think, wait until next year. Wait until these pieces really start to come together. But it's funny that you made that point about the talent because Jerry and I were watching the game, my son, and I made something, not exactly the same, but right along those lines as far as there was a couple of early plays where there was some chippiness going on, some linemen kind of chirping at each other, and then just big blocks, just regular football stuff, and I'm making kind of the same observation you did. I said, Jerry, look, that's like two schools where usually they're the the big guy. Every once in a while there's somebody that comes around that's, done some of the things that they've done. But for the most part, man, they're the cock of the walk. They got the run of the yard, and they're the biggest and the strongest. And now they're, for the first time, not necessarily, because I know the SEC teams play each other. I'm being theoretical, but kind of along the lines of what you said, man, that's where two guys meet each other. And you go, man, those dudes are every bit as strong as we are, every bit as tough as we are, man. This is where you lock horns and you really get some good stuff. And the game played itself out that way. Something that you brought up that I wanted to touch on with you is when you talk about them being pinned back, you could use that phrase most of the game. When you talk about the instant classic, it's not just the score, it's not just the final breakdown of the game. The tale of the game is what makes it a classic, and the fact that the Buckeyes all game long were pinned back on their goal line. It's a testament to Alabama as well, that for every tit there was a tat, and no matter what the Buckeyes would do, Alabama kept finding ways through that incredible punting, which, by the way, I joked on Twitter yesterday. I said, I don't want their running backs, but I will take that Alabama punter on my Cleveland Browns. Thank you very much. But they just kept pinning the Buckeyes back, but then the Buckeyes would, as you said, be able to flip field position even when they didn't score. And again, the special teams were big. Even that freaky punt at the end that ended up clearing like 15 yards. But seriously, they kept being pinned back. Alabama did a great job of keeping the Buckeyes on their goal line all game long.
Yeah, that's true. And Blackledge was making much of the fact that a lot of their success this year has been winning the field position battle because they've had such a good punter and they've had a strong defense. That they typically, I think they led the nation in starting field position. And it certainly wasn't the case yesterday. And like you, I'm lusting after that punter for the Cleveland Browns, and also lusting after the Florida State field goal kicker,
yes.
as well. But we could use both of those guys. But yeah, you're right. It was and third down, so that was big. That was really, you could say, the key factor in the game is that. Cardale kept picking up those third and longs. He was having 3rd and 8, 9, 10, 12, and then picking them up. A couple of great catches by Jalen Marshall, and just big time standing in the pocket and delivering a ball on a key third down play, or scrambling out of the pocket and rumbling for some first downs. No one wants to tackle Cardale Jones. I guarantee you that.
Like a big giant gazelle. It's like when Roethlisberger takes off. You're just like, I don't want to tackle that guy.
Yeah, Cardale is obviously he's a superior athlete to Roethlisberger.
Well, you know what I mean. I'm just talking about a big.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't want to get in his way. He's gonna put a hurting on you. But a couple things I wanted to mention. Just for example, Evan Spencer. Here's a guy who, isn't really, he's sort of a half a starter. He starts some games, or he's not on the field at the beginning of the game, but he's not a marginal player, but a bit player in the Buckeyes offensive scheme. But Meyer loves the guy, and Meyer's been, raving about Evan Spencer all year long, for a couple of years now. He's a great blocker as a wide receiver. He does all the little things well. And you really saw a lot of that yesterday. So first of all, he almost made a Beckham-type catch on that one ball where he went up and made just an incredible play on it. And then later in the game, you saw that same skill on maybe what was the biggest play of the game, the onside kick, after Alabama pulled within a touchdown. He goes up and gets it at its peak and makes a tremendous catch on that play. He makes a huge block on Elliott's long touchdown run. He threw a touchdown pass in the game. Obviously, that was one of the bigger plays of the game right before the half, and first pass he's ever thrown as a college player. And, it was great to see him do that. He's a senior. He's the son of a great Ohio State Buckeye, Tim Spencer, and you got to see why Meyer loves the kid so much, because he also is the guy that put Landon Collins out of the game with a crunching block on him that injured Collins' shoulder. Obviously, you don't like to give guys feathers in their cap for injuring opponents, but in this case, we can maybe slip in a little high five for that one too. Winning going away too. I mean, you're up by 2 touchdowns and Alabama's struggling to get back. there was no bad call, as Dan Faust called it, interference penalty or anything. If anything, the officiating went against the Buckeyes.
Yeah, we couldn't get anything, man.
I thought you referred to the officiating later. Those were some Pac-12 officials, and sort of known nationally as the worst officials in the country, or the Pac-12 guys.
Let me ask you real quick, Dan.
We were warned before the game even started that look out, guys. Something's going to happen. Something's going to screw up. Now, unlike a lot of Buckeye fans, I didn't really have a